Okay, let's dive in. We're tackling something today I think everyone gets, that feeling, that deep frustration when you realize there's this huge gap between where you are now and, frankly, where you feel you ought to be. You look at that space, maybe it's your career, maybe your health, could be your bank account. And it's just human nature, isn't it? To start, pointing fingers, looking for reasons outside yourself. Oh, the market's crazy right now, or my competition must be cheating, or maybe it's just my metabolism, my background, something's holding me back. Well, if that sounds familiar, brace yourself. We've been digging into some material based on a really uncompromising idea, a philosophy that just strips away all those excuses. The source we're exploring offers this single, pretty brutal piece of advice. Everything wrong, every shortfall, it all comes down to one single point of failure. And that failure, well, it's the person staring back at you in the mirror.
That's a really intense way to frame it, and honestly, it nails the spirit of the text we've been analyzing. We looked at excerpts from this, frankly, quite challenging book called The Accountability Mirror, Stop Blaming the Reflection.
Yeah.
So our mission today is essentially to give you the cheat sheet on this. We're boiling down the core argument for what the author calls radical 100% personal ownership. This isn't just about, small tweaks. It's about pulling out the specific methods the book proposes for breaking free from what it terms the victim's blueprint. Because the text is very clear. If you want real power, real results, the ultimate currency, then accountability is basically the only way you earn it.
Right. Let's start with that victim's blueprint idea.
Yeah.
Because the source argues the real danger isn't failing, it's the sort of psychological bunker we build around failure. They argue that the modern world has almost perfectly engineered this blueprint. It's like a psychological safety net, described almost as a comfortable, padded cell, built to keep your ego safe.
Right. Exactly. So when something goes wrong, instead of looking inward, your first instinct is to blame something external. The economy, your boss, bad luck, whatever.
And the moment you do that, you get to tell yourself this really paralyzing thing. It's not my fault. I'm just unlucky.
Which feels good for a second.
Yeah, it lets you off the hook. And maybe you get sympathy. People say, oh, tough break. Your self-image stays intact.
But the source is ruthless about the cost of that comfort. It says that feeling, that relief. That's what guarantees you stay exactly where you are. You accept it because, hey, if the problem's external, the solution must be too. So you just wait.
Wait for the market to turn. Wait for luck.
Wait for a miracle, basically. Yeah.
And the source material, it really doesn't pull any punches here. It lists these common targets for blame, and they're things you hear all the time. The market's rigged, my competition's unethical, my metabolism is slow. And it calls that whole story the I'm just unlucky narrative a lie woven by the weak, which is strong language.
It is very strong.
Does it give any ground? Does it acknowledge that some people do face bigger hurdles, real structural disadvantages? Or is it just pure 100% internal fault?
That's a really important question. And the text perspective is interesting. It doesn't deny difficulty exists. Of course, the market is complex, competition is tough. Those things are real. But it argues that focusing on them, dwelling on them, is completely irrelevant to your actions. It dismisses their relevance as an excuse.
So acknowledging the difficulty is fine, but using it as a reason for inaction isn't.
Precisely. For the author, spending energy identifying external disadvantages. That's just choosing option A in that victim's blueprint again. The people who actually win, the champions as the text calls them, they just don't waste bandwidth on that. They operate assuming the environment is hostile, and their only job is to take 100% ownership of their response to it.
So the second you say, okay, I own this, the external stuff just becomes noise.
It becomes irrelevant to your next move. Because the internal solution, what you do next, becomes the only thing that matters. Accountability, in this view, is how you turn that external chaos into internal control.
Okay, if we lean into that, except it's all on us, how do we figure out where we're messing up? We need a diagnostic.
And that brings us straight to the source's main tool, identifying the gap. That space between where you are and where you say you want to be. According to the text, that gap is filled with only one thing: unexecuted tasks and the undisciplined decisions you made.
Ouch. So it's not bad luck filling the gap.
Nope. It's your inaction, your missed steps. You want to be a top salesperson, but you didn't make the follow-up calls. That's an unexecuted task filling the gap.
Or you want financial security, but you bought the expensive gadget you didn't need.
That's an undisciplined decision widening the gap. Simple as that.
And this is where it gets really practical, I thought. Because the source makes a point of saying these aren't some huge, complex mysteries that need a consultant.
Right. They're immediate choices. Things deep down you're getting wrong.
Like the examples they use are so blunt, You don't need a nutritionist to tell you maybe eating pizza every night isn't helping your health goals.
Exactly. Or you don't need a financial advisor to tell you not to blow your savings on something frivolous when you're trying to build wealth.
Or, and this one hits home for a lot of people, I think, you don't need a therapist to point out that watching 5 hours of junk TV or scrolling social media every night might be killing your productivity or your career prospects.
It's about recognizing that you already have the answers for like 90% of the issues. The problem isn't lack of knowledge.
It's lack of discipline, raw execution.
That's it. The discipline to do the obvious consistently.
Yeah, we spend so much time and energy looking for the next thing, the new guru, the magic bullet.
When the real expert, the one with all the leverage, is staring back from the mirror.
And the source reframes that beautifully. It says, stop seeing yourself as a victim or even just an employee in your own life story. You are the CEO.
The CEO of You, Inc.
Exactly. And the mirror. That's your board of directors, your non-negotiable accountability partner. It's your accountant, your personal trainer, your life coach, all rolled into one. And it doesn't lie.
Which is why the source provides a clear framework for actually using that mirror. This brings us to the core diagnostic, the accountability mirror test. It's designed to be simple, quick, unedited, a 3-part assessment of where you stand physically and mentally. You just have to look. Really look.
Okay, let's unpack the 3 parts. They seem deliberately chosen to hit the big areas. Component 1, your body. And this isn't just about looking good, is it? It's deeper.
Much deeper. The question is, does this physical form reflect self-respect? Could this person handle real physical demands? Not necessarily run a marathon maybe, but handle intense stress, a confrontation, a challenge.
Or does the reflection show someone ruled by cravings, where the desire for sugar or comfort food or just plain laziness dictates their physical state?
Exactly, because the source argues your body is the most honest indicator of your overall self-discipline. It's hard to be disciplined in your work or finances if you can't even manage your own physical self.
Okay, that's body. And component 2, your energy.
Yeah, this is about mental horsepower. Does the reflection look sharp, alert, focused, ready?
Or does it have
Yeah.
that tired, sluggish, mentally foggy look?
Right. And the book argues that look is the direct result of consistently choosing low-value stuff, mindless scrolling, binge-watching over the high-value essentials.
Like proper sleep, deep work,
Yeah.
real recovery.
Precisely. If your energy is chronically low, the source says your accountability is likely low across the board.
Makes sense. And the final one, component 3, your intent. This sounds more behavioral.
It is. It's about what you're actually doing with your time and energy. Does the person in the mirror look like someone who is actively building something, creating value, starting projects, making things happen? Are you a net contributor?
Versus simply consuming.
Yeah. Consuming media, food, products, time, taking things in without putting anything meaningful back out. The source basically sees relentless consumption without creation as a sign of drift. Lack of purpose.
Wow. Body, energy, intent.
Yeah.
Pretty stark checklist.
It is. And then comes the kicker, the most crucial detail tied to this test, the 5-year habit rule. The text is adamant, the reflection you see today. It is the direct, unedited, undeniable result of your daily habits over the past 5 years.
5 years. That puts things in perspective. It's not about last week's flip-up.
No, it's the compound interest of half a decade of your choices. And the message is blunt. If you don't like what you see, complaining about the reflection is useless. You have to change the source.
Meaning, change today's habits right now.
Right now, because today's habits are building the reflection you'll see 5 years down the line.
Okay, that is the turning point, isn't it? You do the test, you accept the gap is your fault, you own the reflection. Analysis has to stop there.
Yeah.
It has to become action.
Which is exactly where the source introduces the anti-victim protocol.
And the core idea here is that real change doesn't come from just feeling motivated or reading inspiring quotes.
Not at all. It comes from ownership and immediate decisive action. No waiting. The protocol is built around managing that critical 2-second moment right after something goes wrong. Project fails, you miss a target, make a financial blunder, whatever it is.
2 seconds, that's fast.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because in that tiny window, you face a fork in the road. 2 paths, mutually exclusive. Path A, the weak path, they call it. Your immediate reaction is outward. Complain. Blame the circumstances, the client, the market. Seek sympathy. You externalize it.
You become the victim of the situation.
Yeah.
Which, again, feels comfortable for a moment.
But it's paralyzing. Path B is the champion's path. The choice has to be instant, almost automatic.
What's the action?
Take a deep breath. Force yourself to say, internally or even out loud, my mistake, I own this, and immediately Immediately pivot your brain to, okay, what's the solution?
Within 2 seconds. Cut off the blame reflex before it takes root.
Exactly. Shut down the emotional defensive victim loop before it even starts.
And the power shift that happens when you do that.
Yeah.
The source emphasizes this, right? Ownership changes everything.
It's the switch. The moment you own it, a crisis stops being this overwhelming emotional thing happening to you.
It becomes data, a problem to be solved.
It becomes a lesson, an objective event that you control the interpretation of. And if you own the failure, it becomes your property. You decide what to do with it.
Turn it into fuel, maybe?
Turn it into experience, raw data points.
Mm.
And if you keep doing that, consistently owning the small failures, the big ones, those lessons compound. They build real competence, real power.
So it all comes down to changing the internal question.
That's the final piece. It mandates this fundamental shift. You have to train yourself to completely stop asking the victim's question, who did this to me? Or whose fault is this?
And replace it with,
The only productive question. What am I going to do about it? Right now.
Yeah.
That shift, that single question change, is basically the engine of momentum versus stagnation.
wow. So wrapping it up, the ultimate distillation of all this really challenging material is, you can't be the solution, you can't fix the gap.
Until you fully, completely, no excuses, accept that you are the problem.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It really is. But the argument is that the liberation, the actual power that comes from finally owning that responsibility,
Yeah.
it's immense. It's where control begins.
Which brings us neatly to that final thought for everyone listening, thinking about this. It goes back to that 5-year rule.
Exactly. If today's reflection is the honest result of your last 5 years of habits, then you have to realize right now, today, you are installing the habits that will create your reflection 5 years from now. So the question to leave you with is this: looking at yourself through the lens of body, energy, and intent. What one specific high-value habit are you going to lock in today? What action will you take right now to start building the reflection you actually want to see looking back at you in 5 years?
Don't wait for motivation. Just own it and act.
That's the core message. The clock's ticking. Embrace the ownership.